Hey, good morning, everyone. All right, this is Elizabeth Everett. I am with the Division of Child Development and Early Education. I am one of the assistant directors at the division, and I have oversight for our subsidy services section. And I'm going to be sharing information this morning about our new grant program, which is the Early Care and Learning Expansion and Access Grant. We still have a few people joining, but I appreciate everyone's patience. We delayed a little bit because we're having more and more people join. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Start with some general, very brief introductions of other folks who are on the call today and that you may hear their voices later in the call. So I do want to bring or let you guys know that we have Laura Hewitt from the division on with us, as well as Teresa Rodersheimer. She is with us from the division as well. You may hear their voices later in the call, and we do have our IMS gurus, Tammy Freeman and Regina Brooks, with us. So thank you to you two as well for being here to help with any technical issues that we may have. Greatly appreciate it. All right, let's see. Sorry, I don't always use WebEx, so I'm going to be a little clunky right to begin with. So, but just bear with me. All right. So just to get us all centered around the same place, just a refresher here around, one of our purposes with DCDEE, and we really focus on having a high quality early care and early learning network to help families raise healthy, capable children, and ultimately to build a stronger North Carolina. So we keep that in the forefront of our minds as we roll out various initiatives, and so it's nice to have that as a reminder. All right, let's see. So we received, DCDEE has received this allocation from the North Carolina General Assembly for these expansion and access grants, and it has been in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And this slide that I'm sharing right now, it gives a little bit of information about what we have seen over the past several years, a little bit prior to the pandemic and now post-pandemic. I know there's a lot of information on this slide and it may be difficult to read, but where you see that red circle, that is the change in the number of sites that we have seen across the state since from January of 2018 until November of 2022. So we have seen a decrease in the number of licensed facilities across North Carolina during those years at a rate of about 11.8%. And that is concerning because that means we have less licensed child care facilities to help our families across the state. We also see that we have had a similar change in child enrollments as well. We've seen a decrease of about 11% there as well. And so these grants, or the North Carolina General Assembly, have really targeted this allocation and this grant program to really focus on trying to build up that supply, those sites that are available, and also for those that are still operational and licensed to improve their quality. And we'll get into more of the specifics about that in a little bit. I just wanted to kind of explain this slide. Yes, I'm also monitoring the chat here. Thank you, Teresa, for housekeeping. I should have reviewed that in the very beginning. For housekeeping purposes, we're going to roll through the slides, and then there will be time for questions. And so you can go ahead and enter any questions that you may have in the chat. We will try to address them during the call or during this webinar. And then depending on time, if we do run out of time, we will make sure the information gets out through the form of an FAQ or other, email communication. So feel free to put your questions in the chat. All right. So this grant opportunity for expansion and access, as I mentioned, it was an allocation of $20 million that did come to from the North Carolina General Assembly. It was the legislation that supports this grant program is our Session Law 2021-180. It was the Annual Appropriations Act for 2021. And it really, again, focuses on expanding access and giving opportunities for licensed facilities to improve quality. And so we'll walk through some of the various pieces. So who is eligible to apply for these grants? So any facility that is currently licensed or regulated is eligible to apply. That can be family child care homes as well as centers, and any star rating. This is open to anyone that is currently licensed. We are including NC pre-K classrooms as eligible to apply, so any facilities that have an NC pre-K classroom within them. And then, as I mentioned, the child care centers and family child care homes. Another kind of entity that is eligible to apply for these grants are those that may not already be licensed or already have a licensed facility, because there is a carve-out in the instructions that we receive with this allocation that we can issue grants for startup costs. And so for startup costs, that could be maybe maybe you already have a child care facility and you're interested in opening a second location, or you already have multiple locations, you're interested in opening up a new one or another one, or it could also be folks who are not currently licensed, that don't currently have a licensed facility, but are interested in opening one and want to pursue that. So it could be another entity within your community that might be applying for this as well. So where we looked at looking at the legislation, again, they did give us some parameters around that. And three of the parameters that the General Assembly asked us to look at as far as how we rolled this grant program out and how we will award grants is to look at areas across the state that have child care deserts, as well as those that are the low-performing school districts and the high-poverty school districts. So there's really kind of three pieces that we had to pull data together to kind of figure out where is the ranking if we're going to really focus on those with low-performing and high-poverty school districts and the child care deserts. So we pulled information and data that DCDEE had around child care deserts, but we also worked with the school systems to get data around performance level for various school systems and the poverty level. And we were able to use all of that data to really kind of put the counties and the school systems in an order that would make sense as far as who is kind of the lowest performing or the highest poverty, has the most child care deserts, that type of thing. So we have decided to allow the first 33 counties, what I kind of refer to as the lowest 33 counties, access to the grant applications first. And then we will have that application, or the applications will be open for 4 weeks, and then the remainder of the state can apply as well. I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit, so bear with me. So we are planning to do these as one-time grant awards. And so it'll, and also the grants will be capped at $125,000. We will be looking at the project plan and the budget plan that you submit. And so, you know, you may not be requesting $125,000, you may be requesting lower than that. So we will be looking at the specific amounts that are requested, but just know our plan is that we will cap these grant awards at $125,000. And part of the reason for that is to, again, it's a $20 million allocation. We know that that's not going to be probably enough funds to provide grants for everyone that applies. And so we felt like that was an amount that we could cap it at, where we would still be able to really help providers who are applying and receiving these grants, but also a way to help as many as we possibly could through this grant program. So it is a competitive application process. So again, we'll be looking at the need of the area that you're applying for. Again, we've kind of done that through the rounds, but we'll also be looking at those individual project plans and budget plans and analyzing those to really determine who gets the awards if we get more applications than we have funds for. So, but we are leaving the application window up for 4 weeks, which will allow those who are interested in applying time to really develop that project plan and that budget plan. So one thing I did want to share here, the date that you submit your application, your grant application, as long as it is within the window that the portal is open, that grant date or that application date is not going to play into whether or not you are selected for a grant. It's basically, it's not a first come, first serve is what I'm trying to say. So if you are interested in applying and, you know, are concerned about that, please take the time to develop a good project plan and a good budget plan to upload into the application, because again, it's not a first come, first serve. As long as your application is in before the deadline, we will be able to, you know, consider your application. All right. So the 3 areas where these funds can be used, I've talked about them a little bit, but wanted to go in a little bit more detail here. So startup costs, again, this is going to be for those applicants who do not currently, or let me not say it that way, for those applicants who are interested in opening a new facility, whether it be a family child care home or a center or an NC pre-K classroom. That is also allowed within this legislation and within this grant program. So any costs that are associated with establishing a new facility, those would be covered under this grant program. Then when we get into, you'll see the little star there by startup costs. If you go to the bottom of the slide, for any one applying for a grant that is not currently licensed or does not currently have a licensed facility, we will require that the facility be licensed or regulated, including passing the criminal background check, and the facility has to be open and ready to accept children on or before December 31st of 2024. So at this point, you know, that's over a year, because we know that the licensing process is not something that happens overnight, nor is all of the other requirements that are needed for a new facility to open. And so just keep that in mind for those applying for startup costs. We do have that December 31st, 2024 timeline to have the facility licensed, all requirements met, and be open and ready for to accept children. The other 2 areas that the grant funds can be used for, and this really applies more to already existing facilities, is going to be quality improvements and capital improvements or renovations. So when we look at quality improvements, we want to be looking for things that are going to increase a classroom or a facility's capacity, and also, you know, initiatives that would upgrade your star rating. As you can imagine, there are lots of possibilities within this area. So as you're thinking through what you want to apply for, and, you know, creating your project plan and your budget, definitely keep this in mind. You know, we're looking for these initiatives that will increase, again, capacity of a classroom or of a facility overall, initiatives that could lead to upgrading your star rating and increasing your quality overall. When we look at, when we start talking about capital improvements and renovations, again, lots of possibilities here, but it could include adding or upgrading outdoor play and learning environments. I know that can be quite a cost for you guys, and so that would be a great grant initiative that you could apply for. And then again, it could be other improvements or renovations that are going to increase your facility's total capacity. So maybe you know, you're working to make more of your facility, maybe increasing the size of a classroom, you know, that type of thing, moving walls if needed to make them bigger, anything that might, like I said, that might be increasing your total capacity there. All right. So again, 3 areas where these grant funds can be used. That's very important. So again, just a reminder, as you're completing your project plan and budget plan for your application, keep these things in mind and, you know, make sure that what you're requesting for your initiative is really targeting these areas in being able to either increase your quality or expand the capacity of your classroom or facility. All right, so the application process. Again, we did talk about that it is a competitive process. I have mentioned project plan and project budget. So there are a handful of questions in the application which we are able to, you are able to access the questions ahead of review of actually going into the portal and completing the application, but we're also going to ask you to upload a project plan and a budget for your project. Those two, they have to be at least one-page documents, and they are required in order for your application to be accepted. So again, we're leaving this application window open for a few weeks so that you have plenty of time to kind of think through these things, you know, kind of get a good solid plan in place, and then be able to upload the plan and the budget as part of the application. So those are very important, 2 very important pieces of the application process. An NCID is required, a business NCID, excuse me, is required for in order to access the portal and to be able to complete an application. For those who may have already logged into the portal, you will notice it is the same platform that we have used for stabilization grants. So if you have a business NCID already that you use to access the stabilization grant portal, or that you use to access the NC Fast Provider portal for the subsidy program where you record attendance, that same business NCID will work for this portal and for this grant program. So if you do not have a business NCID, we do have job aids available as resources that will walk you through step by step of how to get a business NCID. It is quite an easy process, but again, we do have that job aid that gives you step-by-step instructions along with some screenshots to help you as well, and we will make sure those are available on our website, and then as follow-up, we'll make sure that they are easily accessible to everyone. In addition to having a business NCID, for the payment of the grant, for those providers who apply for grants and end up being awarded a grant and already have direct deposit set up, either because you're receiving, you're enrolled in the subsidy program, or you've been receiving stabilization grants, as long as you have that direct deposit set up and have been receiving one of those 2, we're going to use the same payment process for this grant program. So one of the things that we will be checking before we issue payments is that direct deposit status. And so if someone applies for a grant and they are awarded that grant, We will be checking to make sure direct deposit is set up. If it is not, someone from the division will be reaching out to any providers that may not have direct deposit set up, and we will have to, we'll work with you to get those set up so that you're able to get the a grant amount or the grant award. So, but if you don't, or if you're interested and you know you don't have that direct deposit set up, you can go ahead and start working on that. Once you get your business NCID, we do have a job aid as well that has step-by-step instructions and screenshots on how to set up direct deposit. We will have applicants. I'm not sure if we have any on the call today, but I'm going to go ahead and review this part. So for applicants that are not currently licensed, they're not currently, they don't have a facility where they're receiving stabilization grants or already enrolled in subsidy, they're applying for startup costs. Those applicants, because those are not already set up with direct deposit, we will actually pay them in a different way. We'll have to issue them a check. Right now, we're not exactly sure how many of these applicants we're going to receive, or applications, the grant program just opened up on Tuesday, and so we're still in the very, very beginning of this. And so for anyone on the call, just know if you are not already a licensed entity with a business NCID and direct deposit set up because you're applying for startup costs, we will work with you around the payment portion of this to ensure that the grant funds get to you in the correct way. It's basically when we don't pay through direct deposit, it's an extra form that has to be completed, and we're work with our controller's office to issue a paper check. So just know that will be in place for those who are not currently licensed with an open facility. Once we have awarded the grants, there will be a monitoring process for how the grant awards are spent. So as you receive the funds and you are implementing your project plan and getting the great things done at your facility, that is part of your project plan, we will be asking for periodic updates about how that is going. How are you using your funds? How much do you have left? That type of thing. It'll be very similar to, or somewhat similar to our stabilization grant feedback portion as far as how funds are being spent. It will not be anywhere near as detailed as the stabilization grant feedback as a whole, because we know there's pieces there that we won't need for this grant program. But just know that once we have awarded all of the grants, we will have a monitoring process. We'll be sharing more about that because we will not start the monitoring process until towards the end of this calendar year. Our plan is to get all of the grants awarded, so get through both rounds, and then give the grant recipients a few months to kind of get going with their project, and so that they can give feedback about how it's going. So we're going to be looking at the end, towards the end of this calendar year, and then we'll expect feedback about reporting feedback about every 6 months. So again, there's a lot more to come from that. Just wanted everyone to be aware that the funds will be monitored, as well as the reporting requirement on a 6-month basis for the grant award. And I have mentioned a few different times the various job aids. We do have a job aid specifically for the expansion and access grant application. So it walks you through if you are a licensed, if you have a licensed facility already and you're applying for either the dollars for quality improvements or for capital improvements, there is a job aid. The set of questions is a little bit different for those that are not already licensed, but the job aid walks through both sets of questions and it gives you instructions on how to navigate the various screens within the portal, including screenshots. So hopefully it will be a simple process for you to walk through those screens. And again, we'll make sure that that is widely available as well. It is currently posted in the portal for those that are in the round one. You can access PDF versions of this job aid for E&A grants, as well as a PDF version of the application questions and the terms and conditions. These also will be posted on our website. I'm not 100% if they're posted right now. They may already be, but again, we'll make sure that they are available, especially for folks that are in round two. We want you to be able to have access to those things ahead of time and be prepared. So we'll make sure that those are posted and that everyone here knows how to access them on our website. All right, so that is the slides that I have, and I know that there are lots of questions coming through, and so let me just kind of take a pause here. I saw Teresa was responding to some questions, so Teresa, do you want to go back and start with questions at a certain point, or work from the bottom? What are your thoughts? You've been monitoring the chat more than I.
So I've been looking at it, and there was a couple of questions that seemed very similar. Give me 1 second. Let me scroll through so I can get back up to those. Oh, there was a couple of questions about capital improvements and what we mean by that. So if you could specify a little bit more, some people are asking, can we use it for, the cost for new fencing or to improvements on their homes themselves, if it's a home or a program like new roofs and things of that nature, but also, buying land and things, can you kind of go over that part again?
Okay, sure. So for capital improvements or renovations, so again, this is going to be part of the grant that's eligible for those who are already licensed, either a home or a center. And so the examples that I think you gave around, I think fencing was one of them. Fencing could definitely fall into the capital improvements category. For sure, if you're needing to set up fencing. Also, it does include renovations. So if it's, I think I gave an example earlier of maybe you're wanting to make a classroom bigger, removing walls or that. Those are types of renovations that could be included. Buying land, now that is getting more in. Now we're getting into kind of the more of a startup, what may be eligible for startup costs. If you're talking about buying land, that would have to be, for an already established facility that's licensed. We wouldn't look at the purchase of land as an effort to improve or increase quality or capacity within your already existing facility. Does that help some? Sorry, it's kind of hard when I'm not seeing the question. Sorry.
So some questions, like someone asked if, you could use this to pay off your mortgage. I would think no. We're really looking for something, use these funds to expand, the ability to provide services to more children and families.
Yes.
I have had a couple of people ask if we could use these funds for staff retention. I do want to say we have stabilization grant dollars available for that source. So we do ask and hope that if you haven't already applied, that you're applying for those.
Yeah, that's a great point too. And just to kind of piggyback on that, this grant program is not the same as stabilization grants. The use of these the E&A grant funds is more limited than the stabilization grant funds. And so the way I think about it with the E&A, the expansion and access, is what initiative could and I'm using that word so that it's, makes it a little bit different. We're not talking about, like the question about the mortgage, those regular kind of bills that you have just for, day-to-day operations. Those are not the types of things that we want these grant funds to be used on. We want these to be used on the new things, the improvements. Again, those initiatives that you can, if you have the dollars to put this initiative in place, whether it be, getting a fence installed around your property or around the playground, or getting new playground equipment, renovating, within a facility to improve the quality of that classroom, or improve the size or increase the size of that classroom. Think about it from that, what are those kind of actions or those activities, those initiatives that are going to, increase your capacity. Again, I totally understand the everyday bills that we have, that we all have, and that providers have for sure. But we want to make sure that we're not using these particular grant funds for those kind of regular everyday bills and things. This is going to be, again, for these new projects or new initiatives to increase your quality or increase your capacity or access to your already existing facility.
Elizabeth, another question that keeps coming up is about utilizing, real quick, yes, utilizing the funds toward curriculum. That is an improvement in your quality of your program. Sorry, I just saw that. It popped up in my brain, popped up on my radar right here. But a lot of questions have been coming up about utilizing for vehicle purchases, being able to purchase a van or a bus for their program. Or storage.
Gotcha, so that there can, or what was the other one?
Like extra storage on their backgrounds and in their backgrounds, extra storage for materials and things like that on their property, storage buildings.
Gotcha. So for the for storage buildings, that was kind of tough. Let me think on that one and we'll get a little more information.
I can say, as far as your outdoor learning environment, I have seen some really great storage solutions from some, I won't say any company names because I don't want you to rush over to them, but they have some really great storage options for, like, if you buy large outdoor blocks and things of that nature. To me, that's definitely improving the quality of your program, especially if you're purchasing those pieces. But yeah, the other part, I was like, I don't know about that, but yeah. The vehicle piece, but then also paying off those vehicle prices. Oh, and sorry, I'm gonna throw one more question on you. Using it funds for reimbursement of projects that have already been completed or recently completed.
Okay. So for the vehicle, the kind of the premise behind these grants is not really for vehicles, and so at this point, I would say no to the vehicles. If there's others that feel differently about that, or anything changes there, we'll definitely communicate that. But really, the premise behind the legislation and the allocation was not to really get into purchasing vehicles. So I would say try to refrain from that as a project, and instead focusing more on other initiatives that may increase quality or access in a different way. And thank you, Teresa, for the details about the storage. That was a great suggestion. I would think that just the storage building, that is kind of not tied in as Teresa was describing. to your playground equipment or that type of thing, just for storage, I don't know that. I think it would be very, very difficult to show how that's improving quality or improving access to your facility or within your facility. So again, really keeping that quality improvement and increasing access and capacity kind of in the forefront. And does the project initiative really speak to that? I have seen some questions coming. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to make one point because I have seen this and answered this a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yes, if you have multiple facilities, this grant is not tied to a person or entity, it's tied to your facility that you're applying for. So make sure that if you do have multiple, that you're doing that separate application, especially if it's in different counties. We know that that is something that we see quite a few times. So.
And I've seen some questions about if what happens if the grant funds run out? Will you be notified? So that is a great question. Again, it's a $20 million allocation. We know that is not probably going to be enough for what the needs in the state are, but we are dividing the dollars into 2 rounds as well. That's really one of the main purposes we have 2 rounds. So our plan at this point is that about $10 million will be issued in the first round and $10 million in grant awards in the second round. So we're going to kind of have that split. And so that way we don't want to do, we open the applications up for, a part of the state. We don't want to exhaust all those funds immediately. We want to, make sure that we have some in reserve for, again, we want to be able to kind of, spread this as much as we possibly can with it still being beneficial. So we may exhaust all funds within a round, but our intention is not to exhaust the entire allocation in the first round. We will hold back and not issue all of it so that it's fair to others who are in round 2. And if it changes that we, if something does change where the funds run out earlier than what I'm anticipating or that we're anticipating, we'll definitely be communicating with you about that. But we have tried to kind of structure it in such a way that we won't, quote unquote, run out without people being able to apply ahead of time. I have seen a couple of questions about how long the portal is going to be open. And so I will review the timeline, the dates that I think are important to note right now. So round 1, the application round 1 opened on April 11th, and it will close on May 1st at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And then round 2, let me kind of put in, so between May 1st and May 21st is when us at DCDEE will be making final decisions about who are the award winners in round 1. And so we've built in a little bit of time to make sure that we have time to review applications. And if we have more applications than the $10 million that we're planning to award in round 1, then we will, of course, look at our ranking system and prioritize them. So we'll have a little bit of time after May 1st. And so the payments will go out for round 1. We're targeting about 2 weeks after they close. So it'll be probably that week before May 22nd. As we get closer and really know what the applications look like, we might be able to get a little bit more specific with those dates. But right now we're kind of leaving it to some time windows to make sure that, like I said, the folks here at DCDEE have sufficient time to review and get the decisions made. So then we'll get the first round of payments will go out like I said, a little bit ahead of that May 22nd, because that's the day that we're going to open the applications for round 2. And so when we open it for round 2, that will be the rest of the counties that don't have access to the portal right now. But we're also going to leave it open for those that do have access. So we're not going to cut off access to, you know, anyone that has access to it now. You'll still be able to apply through the end. So round 2 will be May 22nd until June 12th. It will close at 5 p.m. that afternoon. And then again, payments for that will go out within a couple weeks after that June 12th closing date. Again, we've given ourselves at DCDE a couple of weeks there to make sure we have time to review the applications and make decisions about who gets the grant awards. And that information is also, the timeline and the dates that did go out through our constant contact communications. So if you are receiving those, you can reference those dates. We'll also get them posted on our website, and we'll of course be sharing or sending out other emails as we get closer to close dates and open dates as reminders and that type of thing. All right. Are there other questions, Teresa, that you want me to speak to?
Elizabeth, I saw a couple. Can funds be used for a project that is already underway or already completed?
No, this is meant for new initiatives and new projects.
And then if you can give an example of how it can benefit a family child care home.
Could you give me a little bit more how the grant could?
Yeah, like how could a family child care home use this grant?
Gotcha. Okay, absolutely. Great question. So for family child care homes, you know, one thing I think about a lot is the playground equipment. Going back and let's see, let me flip back in the slides just a little bit. So again, that if we look at capital improvements and renovations, adding or upgrading that outdoor play and learning environment, that is definitely a way that family child care homes could use the funds. There's also been mention around curriculum. That's a quality improvement. That would fall under quality improvement if you're purchasing, you know, curriculum for your family child care home. Other supplies, toys, you know, things that you may need that do tie into that quality, you know, that you're needing within your family child care home. Again, renovations, if there's, you know, some, it's kind of hard because I don't know what all the homes look like, but if there's some renovations that could be done within your home to, you know, in that, again, where we talk about increasing capacity, we're looking at size. I know for family child care homes that gets a little bit limited because the ratios are limited, but it could be, you know, those renovations or changes within your home that, again, just really focus on that quality. So the curriculums, any supplies, toys that you may need, the outdoor play and learning environments, it's really not very different from what a center could use it for as well, because again, the idea is here that these projects and initiatives are targeting improving your quality and increasing your access, or increasing families' access to your facility and increasing capacity. So there's lots of things that could go. Hopefully that was helpful for the family child care homes. All right. Others, sorry, I'm looking to Teresa and Laura if there's other questions, because I'm not able to talk and monitor the chat very well at the same time.
What about when will the funds be dispersed?
Okay. Sure. So the portal will close for round one on May the 1st. And between May the 1st and May 22nd, with May 22nd is the date that the portal will open for round one. So between May 1st and May 22nd is when GCDEE will be reviewing applications and finalizing the awards for these grants. And so we will have payments out ahead of that May 22nd, probably that week before. Again, I don't have an exact date because we wanted to leave a little bit of flexibility here for GCDEE folks to make sure we have enough time to review all of the applications, make decisions, and get the awards out before we open up for round two. So it will more than likely be that week before May 22nd when round one goes, the payments or the grant awards for round one. For round two, the portal will close on June the 12th, and we will, again, we've given ourselves a couple of weeks there, but for the round two, all of the grants will be awarded before July 1. So we'll be looking at about mid to late May, and then mid to late June for issuing the awards. Right. Are there other questions that you guys want me to speak to? I appreciate your help with monitoring the chat.
No worries. There's two that I wanted to point out. One, so they asked if the NC Pre-K program can apply separately from the actual program in itself, but my understanding is it has to be one application per program. Yeah, you can't apply just for the program or for the other. Also, I saw another one, and I'm not sure if I responded to the right person because they're coming in so fast, but the actual programs have to apply. A partnership cannot apply for the grants and then disperse them. And lastly, I saw a really great point that I just wanted to share up. And one participant asked if the funds could be used to make accommodations for children with special needs. Absolutely. If you are doing things to your program to help with accessibility for children with special needs, I think that is a great use of those funds.
Absolutely. That's wonderful.
Someone asked, well, can you elaborate on what you're looking for in the project plan?
Sure, absolutely. There's not a template or anything. So for the project plan, you know, just explaining to us what your plan is to do with these funds. You know, I saw I can use an example of one I saw a couple days ago. It had the facilities letterhead or their logo at the top, and then this was a facility that was asked. They were applying for the grant for outdoor equipment, and they basically just listed out, you know, the name of the equipment that they needed, how much it cost. They had the labor for installing it. They had it had on there the fee for like leveling, or the cost to have the ground leveled. I think there may have been some fencing in there, and it was just kind of an outline. You know, it was literally just bulleted out the items that were going to be purchased, the amount that they cost, and then the labor was detailed as well. So it could be as simple as a bulleted list like that outlines what, you know, what you're going, the steps that you're going to take, and where it's going to cost money to take those steps in order to complete your initiative. So we're not looking for something that is extremely difficult or complex. It can be very simple. You know, so I've also, I know we've had some people like to write, you know, would prefer to write things out as far as more like in letter format. So you could do it that way. But basically just your plans on this is what I want to do with my facility. These are the things that I need, you know, if my end goal is to have new equipment, playground equipment, these are the various things that I need that are going to cost me money, you know, to get this playground equipment purchased and set up so that children can use it safely. So just outlining, you know, all those costs that come in there. So again, we're not looking for something extremely complex or difficult. Just really, it can be as simple as an outline of what your, you know, let us know what your primary goal is, and then what are the steps and where are the costs where you will need that funding to get to that goal for that project, if that makes sense. Hope it does. And I see a question on here about the budget plan. Budget plan is really very similar. Again, we're not looking for anything extremely complex or difficult to create. Again, it's just what are the costs that are going to be associated with your plan. You know, so it may be that maybe you're going to have, you know, outdoor equipment set up and you want to fence in the backyard or the play area. You know, maybe you need to get a quote from a fencing company to come out and say, you know, hey, it's going to cost you $3,000 to set up the fence that you want or whatever. And so, again, you've got that time with the application window being open. And so in your budget plan, again, that would be where you could outline those costs. For the supplies for the fencing, the labor, you know, or that quote that fencing company has given you. It could very well be that your project plan and your budget plan may look the same. They may be very similar or the same, and that's okay if they're very, very similar. Because if it's depending on the complexity of your initiative that you're planning, it could be something very straightforward. So if your project plan includes all the dollar amounts, the totals that you need, then you know you can actually wrap them in. It'll be one document. But because of the way the portal is designed, you do need to upload for project plan and budget. So you will need to upload in both places. If what your document that you're uploading contains your action, basically like your action plan, like what steps am I going to take to get this initiative accomplished, as well as the dollars that it would need, you know, for the expenses, then your project plan and your budget plan could be the same document, but you would need to upload them in both places as you go through the application process.
A lot of individuals have asked if these funds are taxable.
Are they taxable?
Taxable.
You
yes.
mean like?
Is the grant taxable? My guess would be yes.
Yeah, I do believe all grants all grants are subject to, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like they're asking, will they get a 1099 like they did for stabilization grants?
Yes. Yes.
So one question that I see quite a few times is using the funds for like repaving their driveway. I think we sometimes open the door when we say capital improvements. Just want to make sure that the improvements that you're using, that you're applying for, are actually improving access to your is this something that will improve or help you get more children and families into your program. Like for instance, if you are you have a family tracker home and you want to put a child size sink in your bathroom. I mean, to me, that makes complete sense. Or add a new restroom into the space so that it's easier for children to come into the space. To me, that's a lot more inviting for a family and a child, and may be able to increase the age of children, or expand the number of children, or can't expand beyond capacity, but expand the availability to serve different children, ages and things of that nature. Yes to, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, yes to expanding your facility to actually serve more caregiving spaces and serve more children. To me, that I believe that's exactly what we're talking about here, is being able to expand to serve more children. And capital is different from quality. Capital is it's actually doing something that is not just a childcare, is not materials. It's actually making improvements to your space that I'm trying to say that say it right, but that would actually increase the value of your property. So adding new materials would not, but adding more, adding another room actually improves the value of your space. So that's what the difference of a capital improvement would be, which you typically won't see that the ability to do those kind of things with the funds that like federal funds and things of that nature.
Right. I do see a question. How can you find out if your center is eligible to apply based on eligibility requirements? I'll touch on that again. So what basically by the end, sorry, I'm trying to get to the right, I've got several things up on my other screen over here for reference, so I apologize, I lost it there for a second. Got too many things open. So what we know is that based on the criteria in the legislation where we look at, we're focusing on child care deserts, low performing schools, and low performing school districts and high poverty school districts. Basically, when we look at all of that data across the state, every county will be eligible to apply for, or every provider in a county in North Carolina will be eligible to apply. We have split when that eligibility is. So right now we have the first 33 available, or the application is available for them now. And then in the second round, it will be the entire state. But so basically to know if you're eligible, as long as from a facility standpoint, if you are open, operational, and licensed, and you're in North Carolina, you are eligible to apply for these grants.
And again, we keep seeing this a lot. No county is excluded. All 100 counties are open. They'll just be open at different times with the same amount of funding availability for each round. Elizabeth, our Head Start programs, and I've seen this quite a few times, Head Start in public schools able to apply?
There is not there's not a restriction. Let me check on that, actually. I'm sorry, I'm not, I have to make sure that there's no restriction on these funds for schools or Head Starts. There may be. Let me check on that, and we can share that back out.
And then I'll answer this because I've seen this a lot too. Oh, people are asking about enhancing security, adding door codes, cameras. That's been up there a couple of times. But the application, I know we're talking a lot about capital improvements, quality improvements, startup costs, and some family childcare homes, cannot expand. That doesn't mean when we're saying capital improvements to expand, we know that you can expand and serve more children, but you can upgrade your facility. You can, there's other pieces and things that you can do. But also you can apply for in your plan. We're not saying that you can only apply for a quality improvement or a capital improvement, right? Which your plan can have multiple pieces in there.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And that actually makes me think of another question that I saw. So it could, you're exactly right. You could have a project plan that includes quality improvements and capital improvements, and that is okay. As was mentioned earlier, the grants are going to follow the licensed facility. And so if you have maybe 2 plans in your application, maybe you want to purchase, I'm just making something up. Maybe you want to purchase a new curriculum, and which would fall under quality, and you want to get some new playground equipment, which would fall under, capital improvements. You can have both of those plans in your application, and both of them will be considered. So because when we're making decisions about where the grants are going, we're not going to be picking individual project plans. So if you have multiple project plans, it's not going to be the thing where we say, okay, you can use the funds for this one, but not that one. We'll give, if you're selected to be a recipient of the grant, you will get the funds that either you're asking for if it's within the parameters, or if, we're having to cap, that type of thing. But we're not going to be picking and choosing the projects, if that makes sense, if you have multiple projects within your application. So that's a great point, that you can have something that's going to go towards quality and, capital through kind of 2 separate initiatives, so to speak, but you can include both of them in your grant application. For family child care home, can it be used to enlarge a daycare room? I have a family room that I use, but I would like to enlarge. Yes, you could. That would fall under capital improvements or renovations if you wanted to, enlarge a room. I think I gave the example earlier, knocking down some walls to make your space larger. Absolutely, that would fall under capital improvements or renovations. And that's not just for family child care homes. That could be for centers as well, but for either one. I do see a question in here also about, is there a rubric as far as what will be given priority? Let's see. Oh gosh, my mouse keeps moving. But yes, there kind of is a little bit of method kind of behind the scenes as far as how we are looking at prioritizing if we need to. It's one of those projects, one of those programs that it's brand new. We've not really had one like this before. And so there's always a big question mark about, are we gonna have enough funds? Are we not? How many people are gonna be interested in applying? There's still kind of a lot of question marks and unknowns around that. But let's see. Sorry, I'm having some issues all of a sudden, sorry. So the way we do have a plan for prioritizing if like I said, we get more applications than we know that we can fund. And some of the things that we are looking at for prioritizing, and they are in the application, and if you give me just a second, I can probably speak to this better if I can see the questions. Let's see. Sorry, I should have pulled those up. But within the application questions, there will be questions on there basically about what you're planning to use the funds for. And we ask some very pointed questions, like for quality improvements, for instance. We ask, will these funds be used to increase your license capacity? So depending on what your project is that you're proposing, if it's really going to be targeting increasing your capacity, that would be a yes. If it's more that it's not going to increase capacity, that's okay, because we know, especially for homes, we know you can't increase your capacity because, you know, you have to stay within ratio there. So we also ask, so increasing capacity is something that we'll be looking at for potential prioritization. Will the facility offer care on multiple shifts? If what you are doing as part of your plan will enable you to provide care on multiple shifts, that will be kind of a priority point, if you will, if we have to get to, you know, where we're prioritizing the applications. So multiple shifts. Will the facility serve children enrolled in the subsidized child care assistance program? If that is a yes there, or if you're already serving those children in that program, that can also be kind of a priority piece also. Will the facility serve children enrolled in NC Pre-K? That's another kind of area where we're going to be looking at potentially prioritizing if there's a yes to serving NC Pre-K children. And then will the facility serve infants and toddlers, as well as will the funds increase slots for infants and toddlers? Kind of got a little twofold there because it could be that you're applying for funds to make renovations so that you can begin to care for infants and toddlers, or it might be that you're just able to maybe add to your capacity there. So those are kind of the areas that we're going to be looking at as far as the ranking, if you will, or the prioritization of the applications. So increasing license capacity, multiple shifts, serving children enrolled in the subsidized child care assistance program, serving children enrolled in NC Pre-K, and increasing or serving and increasing access for infants and toddlers. Those are 5 areas that we're going to be really looking at for prioritization of applications as they're coming in. All right. I know we're at about 11:14, so we don't have much more time scheduled, and I want to make sure that we are respectful of everyone's time this morning. So, Teresa or Laura, are there other questions that you would like for me to speak to?
Yes, the enhancing security one.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That would
I thought you
fall,
said yes.
that could fall. Sorry, I'm sorry, go ahead, I didn't hear you.
Oh, no, I said I thought you had said yes.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, security is important. We want to keep the kiddos safe, right? Absolutely. Okay. Let's see. So just a couple of, as we wrap up, and Teresa and Laura, if there's other questions that you want me to respond to now, just let me know. Otherwise, we will take the questions that we received today and add them to an FAQ document that we have kind of already started based on some questions that we're receiving. I know we got several questions that were quite similar, so we'll kind of clump them together, make it a little bit easier to read. They come through so fast in the chat feature here, it's kind of hard to address every single one of them. But we'll get that out for you as well. Just a reminder about dates. Round 1 is currently open, and it will be open until May the 1st at 5 o'clock. Again, this is grants will not be awarded on a first-come, first-served basis, so don't feel like you don't feel like if you haven't gotten your round one application in that you're not going to be eligible. We are not looking at the date that we receive the applications as a determining factor for who gets awarded a grant, as long as they are submitted within that time frame. So for round one counties, get your application in before May 1st at 5 o'clock. And like I said, every application will be looked at. And like I said, it's not a first come, first serve. So again, we wanted to make sure we allowed time for you guys to kind of, think through and plan what you would like for your initiative for this grant program. All right.
So the only other thing I did want to point out, because I've seen it a couple of times, is that yes, this webinar will be posted on the site, as well as the Q&A information. And I know there's probably some questions that were not answered. If you'd give us time to send out that the Q&A, but it would be so much helpful for us if you would email customer support for us to be able to respond a lot quicker than our phones calling our customer service team. Yes, thank you. And I was going to put it in the chat as well. That way you might get an email, late tonight, but at least, it'll be a easier way for us to be able to address your personal questions a lot quicker.
Yes. There's also, just to piggyback on that, there's, as you can tell, there's a lot of interest in this grant program. We have a little over 1,400 people on the webinar this morning. So as you can imagine, there's lots of questions, and returning phone calls can be a little bit more time consuming. So just to piggyback on that with the email, just for the volume, especially right now, because we definitely want to get answers out to you as quickly as possible. So thank you for considering using the email. Very helpful. All right. Are there any last questions, Laura or Teresa, that you're seeing that you would want for me to address this morning?
I think you've done a good job. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, like I said, I definitely want to be respectful of everyone's time. And so thank you everyone for joining this morning. I really appreciate it. This is an exciting opportunity for North Carolina, and I'm very excited to move forward with it and hope that it does some really good things out in the state. So thank you for your time. If, as Teresa said, we'll be working on getting that FAQ out, so just give us a little bit of time there to get that formulated, and we'll be able to answer all of the questions that were in the chat. I think we may have missed some here, so I apologize for that, but we'll definitely get responses to you so that you have the information that you need to be able to successfully apply. All right. And thank you for everything you do every day for the children and families of North Carolina. It is very tough work out there, and your persistence and diligence is so greatly appreciated. So thank you very much. And I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon.